Hey, we got more Rangers and Canucks stuff, folks. Vancouver's trade plan for Kiefer Sherwood has been highlighted, and the New York Rangers have a brand new message for the fans. Oh yeah, we'll also get into Artemi Panarin. But first, let's dive into Chris Drury's message to the Rangers fan base from earlier this morning. A message from Chris Drury to our fans. We wanted to take a moment to connect with our loyal and passionate fan base. We know and we feel your disappointment with how the season has gone to this point. We are just as frustrated and want nothing more than to deliver an on-ice product you can be proud of. It's what drives us every day. No one in the organization is happy with what has transpired, from management to coaches to players. Over the last few years, we've had some successes and moments to cherish, but ultimately, it was not the end goal. We are working relentlessly every day to bring a Stanley Cup back to New York, because that is what our fans deserve. With our position in the standings and injuries to key players this season, we must be honest and realistic about our situation. We are not going to stand pat. A shift will give us the ability to be smart and opportunistic as we retool the team. This will not be a rebuild. This will be a retool, built around our core players and prospects. We will target players that bring tenacity, skill, speed, and a winning pedigree with a focus on obtaining young players, draft picks, and cap space to allow us flexibility moving forward. That may mean saying goodbye to players that have brought us and our fans great moments over the years. These players represented the Rangers with pride and class and will always be a part of our family. As we start on this new strategic plan, we will continue to play hard, with pride and passion for our fans. We appreciate your unwavering support for the Rangers more than we can describe, and thank you for all that you do for our organization. You will begin to see some of our plans come to light in the coming weeks and months. Let's go Rangers. So, no rebuild, retool instead. The Rangers are going out there and doing. This was all capped off with an article posted by Elliotte Friedman earlier this morning too, going over how the Rangers are not going to offer Artemi Panarin a contract extension. Oh boy, let's go out there and read this here. Friday afternoon, Rangers president and GM Chris Drury released a letter to the team's fans stating that no one in the organization is happy with what's transpired. They will retool, building around core players and prospects. According to several sources, before releasing the letter, Drury met individually with members of his leadership group and addressed the team as a whole. As part of the retool process, Artemi Panarin was informed that he will not be offered a contract extension, and that Drury was prepared to work with him and agent Paul Theophanous to trade the winger anywhere he wishes to go. Neither Drury nor the agent could be reached for comment. Panarin has a full no-move clause and could, in theory, play out the season, but the decision brings clarity, giving him 7 weeks before the trade deadline to consider where he could try to win the Stanley Cup this season or extend long-term. There are a ton of storylines to follow now that the Rangers are changing course, but Panarin's will be the biggest. So there you go. Big updates on the Rangers and Artemi Panarin. They told him straight up, we're not going to extend you, and we'll trade you anywhere you want to go. This opens the door to teams like potentially the Detroit Red Wings. NHL Watcher said that he wonders if the Wings will be interested. Link back up with Kane. They definitely got the assets. Panarin has a no move, though. He's got a lot of say in where he goes. And I think the fact that Panarin has already been linked to a team like the Detroit Red Wings makes a lot of sense. The fact that DeBrincat's there, Kane is there, they're a good young team, there are enough assets to go around with Motown. I would understand, though, if Steve Yzerman is a little bit hesitant to make a trade for Artemi Panarin without the guarantee that the guy is going to re-sign. I mean, he's 34 years old, and we've already heard from some of the other insiders that Panarin is not letting up. The guy wants a long-term deal. He wants a big money deal. He's not taking a discount. He wants to stay in this sort of a range, which I guess for the majority of NHL players, you can say, hey, you're 34. Why are you going to get the same contract? But for Artemi Panarin, it's like, well, he's on pace for 88 points on one of the worst teams in the NHL. So if there's anybody that probably can demand a lot of money and justifiably get it, I'd say it's probably Artemi Panarin. This is a guy whom, if he's playing on a good team, he can get 120 points in a year. That's not the most unrealistic thing in the world. If he's getting top power play time, distributed top six time amongst weaker competition, and he's got Patrick Kane on his wing throwing him passes again, then there's no telling what the ceiling is for Artemi Panarin if he spends an entire season with the Detroit Red Wings. Stevie Y, I understand he's building a team with this sort of an age range, the 2014s of the world, the 2015s. Panarin is a lot older. He was 1991 October, so he would have been eligible for the 2010 NHL Entry Draft. But Panarin is so good. I think the Red Wings are a pretty nice fit here. And if they're able to extend the guy to whatever contract it is that he wants, then I would honestly be somewhat on board with it, as long as Patrick Kane sticks around too, right? Or you can move things around, maybe try Panarin out in the first line with Raymond and Larkin. Who really knows? Although I do think the chemistry with Kane is the biggest selling point there. Now, in regards to the Vancouver Canucks, we do have ourselves some new pieces of info. Take a look at this posted on the R Canucks sub. Rick Dhaliwal spoke on Sportsnet 650 Halford and Bruff this morning. The Canucks have come to the realization that they will not get a first-round pick for Sherwood. That, I think, is a pretty big realization, and there are a number of ways that you can think about Kiefer Sherwood and whether or not he is actually worth a first-round pick. Folks in the replies are saying, hey, the trade deadline is on March 6th. I've seen first-round picks traded for far less at deadlines. To be fair, if we're not getting a first, I think the Canucks can wait until the trade deadline and get another bidding war going. I've always been of the mind that if the Canucks can get a first without a prospect, they should have taken it and run. But it seemed like the general consensus was they wouldn't have been happy with anything less than a first plus. And that makes sense too, Vancouver trying to set the market price high for their assets here. We already heard about the Rangers and how they offered a second-round pick and a nice young prospect for Kiefer Sherwood. Depending on whom that prospect was, I think the Canucks probably should have taken him, but still, they did not. Sherwood is going to be on the books until Vancouver gets a price that they're okay with, but it seems like that price has lowered since this realization that they cannot get a first-round pick for the guy. I do just wonder if other forwards become available, if Bobby McMahon is all of a sudden an option in Toronto, does that make it even worse for Vancouver? Does it reduce the price for Sherwood even more? There is an argument going around that says, hey, if Vancouver is not able to get a first for Sherwood, why don't you trade away Sherwood and a second for a first, for example? Why don't you trade away Sherwood and a third and a prospect for a first instead? But that's the thing. I think a first-round pick, the value of a first is so much higher than that of a second or a third or whatever that it's going to be difficult to make things work in that respect. Meanwhile, we had this tweet posted by Taj. Rick Dhaliwal said this on Halford and Bruff as well in regards to Kiefer Sherwood. I was told last night, don't be surprised if something happens sooner rather than later. I was told to keep an eye on the San Jose Sharks. The Canucks have also liked Philip Bystead in his draft year. Now, the Sharks did just make a trade. They sent out a player in order to free up roster space for Michael Misa, which means if Vancouver is going to be making a trade with the Sharks, they're going to have to get somebody in return. Philip Bystead is an interesting name. He happens to be a center as well, so I do think there's reason for Vancouver to be interested in this 21-year-old guy. But another note before we end off this video, speaking about centers, turns out Vancouver is really in the mix for centers. Take a look at this post made by Nux Zero Dhaliwal on Canucks Scouting. Vancouver loves Tynan Lawrence. They're going to continue to monitor him all year. Dhaliwal, he mentioned a few names that the Vancouver Canucks like. He did not mention Gavin McKenna once, which I do think is interesting to bring up. Do the Canucks not like Gavin McKenna? We've heard they like Stenberg. But if Tynan Lawrence is the top guy, then maybe it's okay if Vancouver starts winning a little bit and they end up slipping to second or third overall. Who really knows? I mean, they're so far back. It's going to be impossible to do that. Even if they slip in the draft lottery and they don't need to make the choice between McKenna, Stenberg, or Lawrence, if they're just third overall and Lawrence falls into their lap because that's how the picks go, then I think that would have been fine, assuming this is what Vancouver really wants. But you can let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about these updates in regards to the New York Rangers? They're going through a retool. Artemi Panarin is on his way out. Could he head over to the Red Wings? Kiefer Sherwood, the Canucks trade demands seem to have changed. And then Tynan Lawrence, seems like the Canucks are interested in him. Let me know your thoughts about all these Rangers and Canucks updates in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.